Good afternoon and welcome back to our channel. My name is Shamika, creator and founder of the NOSA group, and we are glad to have you here because we'll be giving our Q3 2023 update on the NOSA News Network. So join us. We'll be giving an update in 6 minutes. So definitely feel free to make sure that you follow to catch our latest updates and get more information about what's happening in our industry and everything NOSA. So I'll be giving updates here on hot topics, events, trends, and conferences happening in our industry that might be of interest to you. So make sure to click that alert bell and follow us here on our channel. So a couple of updates, and this is an interesting topic that we've talked about like a ton of times in our group, and it's about the 1099 versus W-2 conversation. So the conversation is continuing as a group of 30 firms, right? Department of Labor seeking a independent contractor status clarification. So we've all had experiences where we've either worked as healthcare professionals for agencies that classifies as 1099, been a part of a lawsuit where you were misclassified as a 1099, or work through different online systems that classify you as a 1099 independent contractor for clarification. But the U.S. Department of Labor received a letter from a group of 30 healthcare staffing companies requesting that it provide an opinion letter clarifying that temporary nurses hired for post-acute care facilities should be classified as employees rather than independent contractors. According to the letter, similar agencies that follow the same or substantially similar staffing models classify their nursing staff as independent contractors, which of course creates the confusion and continues the conversation. The coalition argues that the FLSA, Fair Labor Standard Act, is violated by temporary nursing staff's independent contractor status when they are employed in post-acute care facilities. The request was made by the Department of Labor, is ready for release final versions of new rules for deciding whether workers should be classified as independent or employees. So give us your take, guys. I know we've had the conversation. We have a video, we'll drop it here below if you want to check it out on my take on the whole thing. This conversation has been going on for at least over a decade, and I think the pandemic kind of gave another uptick for it. But let us know your thoughts. Once we get some information about the letter the Department of Labor shares, we'll share with you guys so you can kind of know and have some clear guidance on that. But let's keep our conversation moving. The next one is Futurist is to buy Recruiter.com's healthcare staffing business. A provider of an online recruiting platform and recruiter staffing services, Recruiter.com group has agreed to sell its specialist healthcare staffing business to Futurist company. The acquisition agreement stipulates that certain customer contracts held by New York-based Recruiter.com will be transferred to Futurist or its affiliated organizations. A share of future gross profits of up to $2 million plus $500,000 worth of future stocks make up the transaction price. It's anticipated to close in the coming months once it's approved by the client. The Rockdale, Maryland-based company Futurist specializes in executive management, recruitment, consulting, and technology services. So just in case you had the question, because we've seen it here before, is healthcare staffing a viable business? Of course it is. That's why they're looking to acquire more businesses or smaller businesses as well. And then our last hot topic is beware of the bait and switch. Staffing companies and other employers have fallen prey to illegal bait and switch schemes. So this is something to look out for because we've seen a lot of bait and switch scenarios and situations that have caused quite a few problems for NOSA. So essentially the expression often describes the unethical practice of attracting customers with alluring offers and lowball prices, then attempting to impose strict conditions on selling them inferior goods. Businesses that defraud loan customers in this manner are subject to legal action by the Federal Trade Commission. A third kind of bait and switch scam where different people carry out hiring process phases has recently claimed the lives of staffing companies and other employers. So here are some of the possible consequences from that. Operations, including bait and switch, are significant crimes that might include many fraud and crime types. A hornet's nest of financial and legal implications and difficulties once the company has been duped, such as determining which and any con artists are entitled to salaries, benefits, workers' comps coverage, and unemployment. How staffing agencies are unable to recover income tax, FICA, and these frauds essentially put businesses at risk for poor customer service relations, reputational damage, and contractual indemnity claims. Although the major bait and switch schemes merely focus on employment chances themselves, some are considerably more nefarious and aim to physically access your sensitive information. And what makes this so key is that when you're working with companies, whether they're here in the US or overseas, you want to make sure that they're viable businesses, no matter where they're located. One, because you're giving them access in some instances to employee personal information, which I would highly limit. And then you're maybe giving them access to your business processes. So making sure that they are who they say they are, no matter where they're located, is really key. So making sure you're getting that business referral, you're doing your own research and getting information about what it is that they do. You're getting other business referrals from other business owners is really key. As within the group, we've had quite an influx of scamming artist behavior happening. So before an unqualified worker uses a bait and switch, you should take place. Guarantees have historically been provided in the event the client is unable to pay and unhappy with the services, typically after the assignment has been ongoing for some time. Instead, make your guarantee contingent on the buyer making sure that they meet the requirements in a few days and required identification documents. Although bait and switch fraud is on the rise, staffing companies and their clients can keep safe by maintaining vigilant monitoring. So if you're working with a virtual assistant company, whether it's one that you found via referral or you found on the internet, make sure they have a feature where you can see what your particular employees are looking at. And it's not really a screen share as much as they should be doing screenshots. I believe the one that we use is called Hubstaff, but there's all types of variations of them out there. So you want to make sure that you can see what your employees can see. You make sure that you give them access as they need it. Don't give them full access to your web server. Give them secondary or limited access to the things that they need to do their job. Staffing companies and purchasers can lessen the likelihood that a candidate will fall for a con by staying in touch and collaborating to confirm candidates' identities and qualifications. That's really tricky because sometimes people are enticed by low prices if you're a small business owner. So you're open to lower prices, but that's not always beneficial to you in the long run because you're giving someone access to information. I've said many times, some of the things that you have people working on for you, you want to make sure that you know what they're doing, you know how they're accounting for their time, you have an idea of their background, or you can get information about their background from the company if you're doing it from a third party company, because the last thing you want is to have the information of your employees accessible to people who might want to do them harm. So okay, so some other upcoming updates around nurses. 4 ways my employer can keep me from quitting. So this article was very interesting and I wanted to share here so that you guys have some information and insight. As always, I truly encourage you to go ahead and ask your employees, do a survey randomly, include a gift card that might get people enticed to participate. But here are some ways my employer as a nurse can keep me from quitting. Provide adequate compensation. And that's always a conversation starter. And it's something that I think we'll always have to manage. Battling burnout. So when you think about like compensation, you want to think about, hey, I can give my employee money, but is there anything else that I can give them? Is it free yoga classes or exercise classes or massages and things of that nature that can help their overall person in addition to a little bit of money? Strengthening the workforce, a collaborative effort, as we've talked about over this past year, as we transition out of the pandemic. Look for other types of opportunities for your staff. You know, a lot of employees, nurses, other healthcare professionals are interested in leaving the floor. So you as a NOSA should look for opportunities to staff them in other places within healthcare. Like every job in healthcare isn't on the floor. Um, Next, recognizing excellence, fostering a culture of appreciation. I've seen a lot of you guys, and shout out to all you guys who are doing it, and those who aren't, definitely consider it, who are spotlighting and posting your employees on your social media and showing appreciation and thank yous and hosting parties and employee of the month. That's a great way to tell your employees, hey, this is what makes me different. We think about you as an individual. We want you to know that you're a big part and a contributor to our success. So our last few things, there's a lot of great events as we run into conference season. So definitely feel free to check out our website or here for some upcoming conferences. We know that right now, I think it's going on now, is TravCon, the Healthcare Travelers Conference in Las Vegas. In the next week or so, we'll also be having and attending American Staffing Association, that's officially on the East Coast here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right behind that, SIA, the Staffing Industry Analysts Conference, is going to be back in Vegas. And then there's tons of smaller conferences that are more specific to your state staffing associations host conferences, your local BIN may have conferences. Small Business Development Centers have conferences. Small Business Association have sessions and summits. And one thing that I've started to do that I would encourage you guys to think about is attending conferences virtually. So I recently attended a conference that Staffing Referrals had on. It was a 3-day conference virtually. And the nice thing about that is when you register, especially the registration, if it's included as a part of the registration, you can get the actual information that you learned as a recording. So if you can't attend everything, so for instance, I attended the first and the third day. I didn't make the second day. I actually got a chance to get the recordings of the second day and then the first and third day kind of recaps. So that's great because there's so much great information that people want to share. So use your virtual tools, you know, get the things that you need to make sure you're able to do what you need to do. And then finally, updates about what's happening in NOSA Group. As always, definitely check us out here on our YouTube channel on office hours every other Wednesday. We're having office hours now at 12 p.m. Eastern. Also, we will be answering NOSA questions here on the new YouTube channel as well. We have quite a few questions up in the group, so check that out. If you have questions you want us to answer, drop them in the comments below, or you can email them or drop them on any of our social media platforms and we'll add them to the list, and I'll give Shamika's take on those questions. And as always, thanks for being a part of the community. Thanks for supporting our community and all the things we plan to do. We are finalizing the details for NOSACon 2024. We're doing it again. So a couple of things that we want to include in NOSACon are things and feedback that we got from the last conference, because the conference is really about you guys. So we want to make sure that we include those things. We'll be dropping more details, so make sure to check your emails, check our social media to get more information, and we'll be sharing with you guys soon about what we have planned for NOSACon 2024. As always, thanks for being a part of the community and your contribution, and we will be chatting with you on our next NOSA News Update. And we will be chatting with you next on our NOSA News Update.